Are you an idiot? Well, you're in good company. There are about 8 billion idiots on this planet, and that number grows every day. Don't be the guy or gal that says, "I'm not an idiot," because that makes you the biggest idiot of all. We all have our moments of brilliance and our moments of idiocy. Embrace it, folks. Don't be ashamed. Without those idiot moments, we would never be able to appreciate our brilliance. Welcome to I Love My Idiot, a podcast about the idiots we love, the idiots we loathe, and the idiots we can't seem to avoid. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Visit our website at ilovemyidiot.com.
Welcome to another episode of I Love My Idiot.
I'm your equal host, Clyde November.
And I'm Rosie November, and we're super excited for this really special episode.
We've never had this many guests on our show all at once, but today we are having a special, family night type of thing.
That's right. It's game night, and we all got together. We played some games. So let's introduce you to our very special guest. One of these guests you've known for a while. You know and love her, Mike. What episode was Mike on?
Episode 9.
That's right. Mike was on episode 9.
Hey, everyone.
Mike is joining us via a Zoom call. We're glad to have you, Mike.
Glad to be here, Clyde.
And Mike, you have somebody very special with you. Why don't you introduce him?
So I have my partner in crime, my other half. We have Vernon.
Hey, everybody.
All right, and then joining us on the other couch, his name is Seamus. Hello, Seamus.
Hey, y'all.
And introducing for the first time, Seamus's wife, a person you all have heard about on multiple episodes, although now you are meeting her for the first time. This is Stacy. Hello, Stacy.
Hello, it's good to be here.
All right, now the introductions are done. You know everyone. Let's dive in.
So today we wanted to do an episode about couples. And we have couples at very different stages of marriage right now. We have Seamus and Stacy. They're newlywed. They're still glowing. You know, they buy each other gifts frequently and stuff.
They're holding hands on the couch right now. It's weird.
Yeah, I've seen them kiss 10 times tonight. Who does that anymore? You know what I mean?
By the way, that's not my hand.
Someone's jealous.
And then Mike and Vernon, how long have you guys been married?
We have, actually, let's ask Vernon. Vernon, how long have we been married?
2012. So 8 years.
So, good job, Vernon.
Good math,
we've been together
Vernon.
for 8 years. Married, 13 years together.
Nice. And then you guys all know Clyde and I have been together for 14 years. All right, Seamus, now that you're married, has anything changed? How long have you guys been married? It's been 6 months?
Yeah.
What's changed from dating? Because you guys dated for a couple of years, so you went for a long time dating. What has changed? I want to hear from your side and then from Stacy's.
Well, for me, we live together now, and that's changed.
Is she a good roommate?
She's a fantastic roommate. I mean, my whole life has changed because I moved here. The whole thing's a change.
And Stacy not only gained you as a roommate, she also gained that terrible dog of yours. How's that going, Stacy?
Well, he's still alive, so that's a plus. But no, it's been going great, and it's nice to have somebody, to do yard work with and just enjoy each other's company. And it's nice not to have to travel on the weekends to see each other, so that's the best part.
And now the real question everyone's dying to know. Do you still love each other?
Absolutely.
Of course.
All right, now let's ask our couple of 8 years. What's the love like in your guys' marriage, Mike and Vernon?
Well, I can honestly say our love has deepened. And it also depends on the day, Clyde and Rosie. There are some days where I don't like Vernon, but I do try to love him every day.
Vernon, do you have anything to add to that?
It's all my fault, and I'm sorry.
Now, that's the answer of a very well-trained husband, and I think I could learn a lot
And Seamus, you could definitely learn a lot from that.
Yeah, but no, 13 years later, it's great. We met when we were kids, and so we really just have grown up together and matured together, had a lot of ups and downs, but I think we're starting to, really, after 13 years, really appreciate each other more.
Clyde, how do you feel?
I feel like I'm just lucky to be with someone, honestly, so I'm not going to say anything to get me in trouble right now. Maybe that actually was enough to get me in trouble. I don't know.
I do sometimes miss that early stage. Like, I'm envious of you guys, Stacy and Seamus, because that first year is just such a magical time to share together in marriage. Yes. So tell us about some of the magical moments that have happened in your very early marriage life.
We got married, and I'm magically going bald faster than I thought I would.
Yeah, it's normal. Don't worry about it. It looks like, Vernon, you are not losing your hair. What's the deal with that?
So I'm not losing my hair, but I'm growing a skunk stripe. So if you've ever looked at the top of my head, it's like half gray.
He is turning into a silver fox. He's getting that distinguished look for sure.
Silver skunk.
A silver skunk. He does smell sometimes. That's true.
So does your dad have hair?
Yeah, my whole family, thankfully, they all have their hair. So, like, my grandfather is in his 70s now, and he still has all his hair.
That means you have the potential to be attractive when you're in your 40s. So congratulations on that. Me, on the other hand, there's no hope.
Hey, that's what baseball hats are for, right?
Yeah, there we go.
Clyde and Seamus, you guys talked about that you guys were going to go Statham together. Is that still the pact that you guys have?
Well, I was hoping to do it the night before Seamus's wedding. And by Statham, we're talking about buzzing it down as pretty much as short as we can go. But apparently Stacy was not cool with us shaving our heads the night before the wedding. Kind of disappointing, but I don't know. I'm still in, though, Seamus. If you're ready to take it down, I'll take it down, too.
I almost did it this last time because I had to cut my hair. Well, Stacy cutted my hair. Cutted? What am I?
Are you
You
a
guys
first
should
grade
see
student
Vernon's
right now?
face right
What are
now.
we
He's
dealing with
looking at me
here?
and going,
Clearly married to a teacher.
Yeah, but Stacy cut my hair for the first time, and I was like, honestly, I might need to call Clyde to go Statham with me because this might be it.
Yeah. Now, personally, I'm not doing Statham because Statham has like stubble on the top. I'm going The Rock. I'm just going to start bicking, and I'm convinced that I'll actually look like The Rock. So,
I mean, the complexion's there.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, and the build, I mean,
You wish.
I'm proud of my physique. All right. But yeah, here's the thing. In quarantine, it's the new male haircut is just shaving your head. It's either grow it out so you look like a Q-tip or shave that thing down, which right now I would say Seamus is closer to shaving it down. Vernon, you're closer to Q-tip right now. But a silver striped Q-tip. So, you've still got that skunk thing going.
So one of the things that I really have been wanting to get you girls together with is the differences between all of the things that we do to our bodies compared to what guys do to their bodies after that we get married. So before Clyde and I got married, he was like shaving his chest hair and like grooming his undercarriage.
It's called manscaping. People don't need details. You just say manscaping.
Anyways, he looked nice, right? I would say within the first 6 months of marriage, like, I don't think he's ever picked up a razor to the rest of his body again. Just saying.
Actually, Vernon and I, we laugh about this all the time. I can tell you how I have changed. Like when Vernon and I first started dating, I completely went all out. I mean, I pretty much wall painted my face with foundation. I had makeup on all the time and just made sure that my hair was perfect and all that. But that slowly dwindled. And now the running joke is I only put on makeup for other people. and not for Vernon. And he always knows when I'm going out and when he sees my makeup and my hair done. And so I hardly ever do it for him, but I really think I need to step up my game to kind of add some spice to our life. And like even today, like when we were hanging out and we did a murder mystery party, y'all, and it was so much fun. I put on makeup and Kevin's like, yep, we're hanging out with people today. And honestly, Vernon, being a guy, I mean, there's not much you have to do. Smell is a big thing.
Yeah.
I think that Vernon...
Are we talking pre-quarantine or post-quarantine?
We're talking 13 years ago. I mean, this man smelled good. Like, I would love to snuggle up, and I'm just like, oh, man, he smells so good. And I would say now, you need to up your smell game. I would love to smell something good on you. It's true.
I haven't had to try. Your nose doesn't
Yeah. And I keep on throwing myself under the bus. I don't shave my legs as much anymore, but my leg hair doesn't grow crazy fast, and it's blonde. I used to shave my legs a lot more when we started dating.
Trust me, Stacy and I talk behind your back about how your legs don't really have hair on them. Like, you're like superhuman, absolutely gorgeous. Don't grow hair on your legs. Like, I don't know what planet you were born on, but I want to go to that planet. I'm just saying.
It's my one superpower. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely a smoothness difference that is missed. For sure. Like when I shave my legs, they feel amazing.
What about you, Vernon? What are your hopes and desires? I mean, we learned a lot about you and your smell and all that.
I don't know. I mean, she used to be a blonde when we met, and it's been a few years since I've seen that. I don't think any of you have ever seen her as a blonde before.
Oh, yeah, they have. They've seen me blonde.
Have they?
You guys will never believe this, but I was actually blonde when Clyde met me. Yeah, like bleach blonde.
What?
I actually asked her to go natural because she had been blonde pretty much most of her adult life. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since high school.
And I actually don't have a preference as far as black hair, blonde hair. I mean, other than Asian, of course, but I don't have a preference. My preference is natural. So I asked her to just go with her natural color, and, I don't know. I think it looks good on you.
I think that's a trademark for you, Rosie. I can't imagine you blonde. Like, you have, the dark features, the beautiful hair to match it. I think that was a good call, for sure. But I am interested in seeing blonde Rosie.
Okay, I'll bring pictures. You'll see it.
Ooh, I do have one more thing. He loves when I wear pants, and I hate jeans. I hate jeans. I am leggings for life. And all Vernon wants to see is me in a nice pair of distressed jeans.
That's so weird because every time Rosie has pants on, I'm just taking those off.
He prefers the skirt. You just lift it right up.
No, I prefer nothing.
I fear to ask you two newly loving people who are so awesome, but...
And still snuggling.
Yeah, they're still sitting next to each other, guys. This is crazy. Don't worry. It's 14 years down the road. We'll talk. Have you noticed yourself letting yourselves go a little now that you're married, or are you just still up in that game?
I mean, I still manscape on special occasions. But
whoa, what are we talking? Like once a week, twice a week, once a month?
I'd say probably once every couple weeks.
Interesting. How deep we going here? We're talking plucking a few chest hairs, or are we talking full scape?
I've never touched my chest hair. That's a trademark of mine.
So basically, if you saw you naked, you would have a bowl cut on your body.
Yeah. That's not what everybody does when they manscape?
Well, it's not my thing, but, I'm not going to judge.
I do the reverse bowl cut. I put the bowl on. I make an outline with a pin. I shave everything within that bowl.
And you call it the monk.
We need this to catch on, actually, and we're going to call this style the Seamus. From now on, that's how I'm going to manscape. I'm going to have a Seamus.
Oh my gosh. It's almost like a painted target right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where you touch. Nowhere else.
How about you, Stacy? You still shaving your legs or what?
Well, I lived in Vegas for a long while, and so it was kind of like the norm. Like, you didn't leave the house if you did not look presentable, like even the grocery store. So I kind of had taken that mantra on. So then after I moved from there, I slowly kind of found a happy medium because I used to be, didn't care as much. So I'd say, for the most part,
She still looks good.
Are you saying she doesn't have the Seamus cut going right now?
I mean, I've tried to institute the Seamus, but
I'd say, with the COVID, it's kind of, my game has gone downhill. But it's because I'm working from home. So it's like, maybe it's 5 o'clock. My husband's coming home soon. I should probably go shower.
Sure. I get that. I admit I am a little bit vain when it comes to my body. I like it to be hairless. And I am a very hairy person. Like, I'm related to Seamus, who basically, when he doesn't have a shirt on, looks like he still has a shirt on with hair. Like, I'm related to that. So anyways, I get a gift card to this place that does waxing. And I go there and I'm like, okay, so I want you to take all of my hair off. They're like, all of it? Because that's way more than your gift card will allow, It's like, to remove all the hair on my body is like $300. So anyways, I go in and it was seriously the most painful experience I've ever been through for doing it for the first time. Now I go every 6 weeks, so my skin is like turned into leather. Man, it was so painful. But this like 19-year-old girl comes in there and I'm, in my 30s. I've had 14 pregnancies, so this body's seen a lot, right? And a lot more than this 19-year-old girl has ever seen in her entire life, I'm sure. I'm like, I'm so sorry because you're precious and you're removing hair from every portion of my body, and I'm pretty sure you're going to be damaged. Anyways, she loves me now. She knows me very well, but point is, I put myself through like an hour of misery every 6 weeks to keep looking good for Clyde.
And I greatly appreciate it. And what do I do in return for you?
I don't want to talk about that in the podcast.
Nothing. Oh, yeah. Rosie, don't get too dirty on the podcast. No, I hate to admit it, but I do nothing for you, right?
I know.
Like, all you want is for me to shave my face every day. I do it once a week.
Anyways, the things we do, I think it's really interesting. But I feel like our men care, but a little less than we care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's funny that you brought up the facial hair because I think that is the one area where we could have an opinion on, because I love when Vernon has a beard. That's like not like a, ZZ Top beard by any means, but just like a nice beard. And I'm glad that he kind of indulges me in that. So thanks, Vernon, for rocking a beard for me. You're
Dude,
welcome.
I hate beards.
I see how it is.
I was never into facial hair. I always liked guys that were clean cut until I met Seamus. And then I was like,
Seamus rocks
you
the
can
beard.
rock that beard anytime.
it's red. It's beautiful.
And I think it depends on the guy, for sure. It definitely depends on the face.
Well, I have to admit, if Vernon shaved his hair on his face, he would look like an 8-year-old boy. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I would look like a pedophile. No, thank you.
I get carded if I shave.
He does.
I'm
Yeah.
31.
Dude, I
was
believe
secretly
it.
glad that he was graying so he could look a little older.
Now that we're all in quarantine, though, I feel like there's a lot of ladies out there also growing their beard out, so...
Dude, my waxing lady's been closed for 6 weeks, so she better open up real quick.
Yeah, real quick. Like, she should be making house calls, all right?
Vernon has a really great idea. He would like to talk about what is the grossest thing that our partners do. Let's start with Clyde. What's the grossest thing I do?
The grossest thing Rosie does, and I say this with no hesitation, after she uses the last speck of toilet paper on the roll, she doesn't replace it. I'm sorry, but that is disgusting, all right? We are civilized people. How hard is it to grab a new roll and stick it on there so the next person that sits down doesn't have to do that bunny hop? Now, I know that when people think of gross, they're thinking like disgusting, and my interpretation might be a little bit different, but that's because it haunts me that much. That she can't take that extra 2 seconds to, replace that out. So there we go. That's the grossest thing Rosie does.
I thought you enjoyed replacing the thing of toilet paper.
I clearly do not. Now that the truth is out there, we'll see if you change your behavior.
Let's do boys first. How about you, Vernon?
I'm ready.
So Mike is looking at me in horror as I'm trying to think of what to say. So Mike has really long hair. It goes down past her shoulders. I don't know what it is about the shower, but every so often you find these giant clumps of hair stuck to the wall or the floor of the shower. Every couple of months we have to take that little drain cleaner thing, and that is the worst experience you could ever imagine cleaning that out.
You can hear some dry heaving in the bathroom.
No, I threw up last time.
That is like a universal experience. Anybody who's been married to someone with long hair has gone through that.
Oh, my hair gets trapped in all over his body. It is crazy. He is constantly pulling hair off of...
Pulling it out of your beard is just...
Oh. So the first house that we bought it from this lady that had long black hair, the kind that went down to her butt. And,
like The Grudge?
Oh, yeah. And so every drain in the house was plugged, including the dishwasher. So I had to deconstruct the dishwasher because I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't drain. And I found gobs of this long black hair that just had like food stuck in it.
Dude,
from months.
And that's the worst because it's not even hair that you know the person.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, I don't even know whose DNA this is. Like, I literally threw up in the experience. It was awful.
Hey, at least Vernon knows it's my hair, so I don't know why he's dry heaving.
Have you ever cleaned out the drain?
No.
It's not just hair.
No, seriously. He is correct about that. It's like anything that goes down the drain doesn't fully go down the drain because it gets stuck in that hair. It's disgusting.
It kind of congeals.
Yeah, it's like who dumped a thing of oatmeal down the shower drain.
You're going to make me gag.
Honestly, one of the first complaints that I ever received from Clyde was to stop putting my hair on the shower wall.
No, I was fine with you putting it on there. Just why would you leave it on there? I'm like, when you get out of the shower, take it with you.
Mike did it yesterday, so,
Oh, it's true.
I just love that I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, with me, I grew up with nothing but women, so I was kind of used to it.
Dude, Seamus has been cleaning out drains since he was like 5 years old.
Cleaning the drain, I thought was just another chore. It's household maintenance at that point, right?
You're like, that's just a Tuesday, guys.
Wait, you only have to do it once every couple months?
So would you say is that Stacy's worst habit is the drain as well?
Nope, I took it. You got to do a different one.
That's right. You can't steal Vernon's. That's a cop-out.
No, since I was so used to it, I wouldn't say that would be something that I would think was gross. I don't do it, but I don't have long hair. So, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
It's because you're freaking newlyweds.
Newlyweds.
He's like, right now, the most disgusting thing that she does is nothing because she's perfect.
Come on, there's got to be something. There's got to be like mouth breathing in her sleep.
Or does she like leave her fingernail clippings laying around?
No, but that would be disgusting. I had roommates that did that.
I remember you talking about that. You'd walk through the kitchen and hear the crunch under your feet.
Yeah, it was awful. I think we discussed that in a previous episode.
Does she like leave the trash too full?
No.
And push it down like I do?
No, but that's kind of my job to take it out anyways, so I don't let it get too full.
Yeah, once you have kids, that's someone else's job.
I think the only thing you've complained about is when I've used like the washcloth in the kitchen sink, and instead of like hanging it up on the middle, it's kind of sits, and so then it gets kind of gross.
Yeah, I mean, then you use it on another piece of silverware or on, something we're going to be eating off of. That's a little gross. I guess I'll give you that one.
Yeah, but I put soap on it.
It's like that cloth makes it more dirty than it was if you just didn't wash it at all.
Yeah.
Just so you know, this has been a Seamus thing his whole life. So Seamus is very particular about the smell of washcloths. Like, if it has, like, a soury smell at all, he will never use it again. He will throw it away. And he's been like that his whole life. But I think it comes from our childhood because we didn't have disposable income to buy more washcloths. So all of your washcloths just stunk all the time.
Well,
I think
it's
that's where it comes
mildewy, and I just, yeah.
How are you with sponges?
A properly dried out sponge, though it has a lot of bacteria, I'm okay with.
He does it with his towels, too. This explains a whole lot because the other day he literally used his towel one time, and I'm like, okay, I'm just curious. I'm not judging, but you used the towel one time to dry yourself. And he's like, it smelled funny. And I was like, okay, just asking.
No, that actually brings up a good topic. How many times does everybody in here use a towel before it goes in the wash?
Well, if it doesn't smell bad, I can go probably a good week.
A whole week?
I'll go a week if it doesn't smell bad.
Oh my gosh.
No, I think a week's normal. That's us too. Weekly laundry with towels. Yeah.
Wait, you wash your towels?
Yes.
That might be why Vernon's got this stench, apparently. He takes a shower, starts smelling good, and then he dries himself off and smells horrible.
So I am the absolute worst offender when it comes to towels because I will not use it more than 2 times, and I use 2 towels per washing, which almost made Clyde lose his flippin' mind when we first got together.
We own about 30 towels because that's what it takes to go through enough towels in the week for Rosie.
Well, all girls have to have 2 towels. I mean, you have your hair towel and you have your body towel.
Amen, sister.
I just use one.
What? Yeah. Okay, you gotta walk us through your
What
one
part
towel
of you is the
process.
towel?
Now, the question
We need to
is,
know
hold on.
start to finish
This
what
is
goes on
important.
here.
This is important. Do you wrap the towel around the body or the head when you come out? Like, are you just
What is your
streaking
process?
around the house?
Where do you start with this one towel?
All right, so I grab the towel, and then I dry off the front half, flip to the hair, then dry off the rest as I get out, and then I just wrap my hair.
You just let your feet drip everywhere?
No, I dry off my feet, and then I throw it around my hair again, and then I just freestyle it in the house.
This next week, try the 2 towel
Yes.
method
You
and
will
then
never
report
go back.
to us.
That's
You
for
will never
laundry.
go back.
Plus, I get really hot, especially coming out of the shower, so...
Yeah, she does.
It's the number one reason I married her. She does the one towel.
around the hair.
I know, but I like that. That means Stacy is like economical. She's like thinking like, why would I waste the extra water on wash?
I have to disagree, Stacy. This is ridiculous. Move to 2 towels like every other woman.
We still have to hear from the other 2 girls what they don't like about their men. The gross things.
true.
All right, Mike, what is it?
Oh, where do I start? I'm just kidding. I would say, okay, the grossest habit that Vernon has, I would say, honestly, the man has no shame in his fart game. Like, we can be in bed and he just blows. And I at least, I hate it. And I honestly think to myself, like, he farts more than anyone I ever knew.
That's how I keep my figure.
I challenge you to a farting duel.
I was going to say, Clyde's lactose
Honestly,
intolerant.
I hate when he farts in bed. I think that's my number one gross.
Hey, at least they keep it under the blankets.
Oh,
That means you guys baking it all night. which no judgment. That's exactly what I do too.
That also might be where the bad smell is coming from.
Crazy. I would say that would be his grossest habit. I would say is the part, and I don't know if he just has a high fiber diet, but it's just like never ending bagpipes.
You're the one that feeds me. It's your fault.
Yeah, so that's Vernon's grossest habit. He has no fart shame, which I guess silver lining is at least he's comfortable.
Even more so after I let it out.
I'm sure. Oh, did Rosie say hers?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. It's because Clyde is perfect. There is no faults.
That's right.
Oh my gosh, guys, the laundry list is forever, and many people have heard many of my complaints on this podcast previously, but let me indulge you in some more. Clyde clips his freaking toenails and just lets them fly places. Like, seriously. And he'll be like, yeah, I got them all in the trash. I'm like, I just stepped on 3 toenails, so I know you didn't get them all in the trash. Like, you were very inaccurate with your clipping strategy.
You don't do the clip half nail method?
I tried the clip half nail method once, and then when I peeled it the rest of the way, it peeled crooked for some reason, and then it like hurt.
Well, no, that's not what I'm talking about. So I clip half my nail, and then I will hold that half while I clip the other half, and it never flies.
Yeah, that's the way you do it, Clyde.
Wait a minute, you touch your toenail? That's disgusting.
I use my tongue.
Hey, I use my teeth to hold mine, so...
That's disgusting. That is disgusting. Farts thing is a real, like the pain is real on that, Mike, because, yeah, Clyde is lactose intolerant and his favorite food before bed is Oreos and milk and melted cheese. And, like, it's ridiculous what he does. It's, like, toxic. Seriously, I have to sleep with a fan on at night, like, right at my face to get away from the bad smells that come out of Clyde.
Are they loud or silent?
Yes. But yeah, that's all I have to say for right now. That was enough, I guess. I could go on for days. But
I know.
I think that's
Me
happens
too.
like when you've been married for so long, you know? Well, we don't want to leave our newlyweds out of some of the complaints because clearly they barely have complaints about each other at this point, which is precious.
Our wedding was beautiful.
It was the most amazing wedding ever.
Yes, because that's your newest memory. Like, this is like yesterday for you guys. So anyways, one of the things we want to talk about is what is the most awkward thing that happened at your wedding? Let's start with our newlyweds.
And if you say that amazing speech I gave, you're dead to me.
That was a beautiful speech, and it made me cry, sir.
I appreciate that.
I guess the most awkward thing for me is I'm very much a people pleaser. And so I had all these people come into town because I'm not from here. You know, I'm not from Colorado. And so I had all my friends and our family come into town, and I had no time to talk to hardly any of them. And so
That's every wedding. You never have time
I felt awful, and that was like the most awkward thing for me. And it's just, I don't know. I guess it's just who I am, but it's like if I'm having somebody come, I want to at least spend some time with them. But there was so many people like that I hadn't even met from Stacy's family that I had to meet her family, and she, you know, already met everybody that came from my family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you don't want to be blowing off her family just to go talk to your friends that you haven't seen in a while, because then they're all like, man, Stacy's marrying a real douchey dude.
Yeah, so that would be the most awkward thing for me.
Well, thank you for that, Seamus. I forgive you. I mean, I've been hanging on to this bitterness since then. But
You live here where he moved.
I know, but still, you know.
So I think for me, like, I'm more of an emotional person, but when there's something that very much moves me or touches me, or I cry because I just get like worked up about how awesome it, or you know, and how thoughtful or whatever, or I'm a very much an empathetic crier too. And so I was doing really good. I thought for sure it was going to be a blubbering mess our whole wedding, but I was having so much fun prior to taking pictures and everything, and I did really well until my dad handed me off to Seamus, And then he paused for a second and then brought Seamus in for a hug, and I lost it because it was just the sweetest thing ever. And then I was like, oh crap. But I had shoved tissue paper in my front of my dress because our pastor had said he was going to open up our ceremony with a prayer. So I was like, I have it tucked in there. I'll grab it when he starts praying. Well, he never prayed. So I'm like blubbering. I'm a blubbering mess. I have no tissue, anything. And I'm like trying to suck it in. And I looked like a hot mess.
You were glowing with tears.
So at one point, my mom was like, I almost went up there and brought you a tissue. It's okay.
What about you, Mike and Vernon? What were the awkward moments from your wedding?
So we got married in Louisiana, and so all of our families and our extended families decided that it would be a great time to go on a vacation because we got married on a cruise ship. So what ended up happening was we had a 1-hour open bar for the ceremony, and one of the attendants walks up to me and she's like, you need to watch out for that guy. And she points to this great big guy because he's had 19 drinks in an hour open bar. And it turns out it's my wife's Uncle Bob, and he's holding 4 drinks in his hand at the time that she points him out. And he was a little bit hammered.
It was so funny because the wedding coordinator walked up and said, I don't want to alarm you, but I think we have a party crasher on our hands. And then I turn and I see my Uncle Bob holding 4 Jack and Cokes at once. And he literally saw that our open bar as game on. That was probably the most awkward part of our wedding, was my Uncle Bob being identified as a wedding crasher. Oh, and we did go on the cruise, had a newlywed game, and so we had to spill our deepest, darkest secrets in front of like 1,000 people. So that was pretty awkward too.
And then they played that videotape for the entire cruise for the whole week. So everybody on the ship saw that video, including all of our families.
So you guys were like celebrities by the time that ship got back to shore?
Yes, and we actually got like free stuff out of it. People said hi to us. And it was actually kind of embarrassing because we kind of, one of the ship questions was, where's the craziest place you've ever done it? And so they would always be like, oh, you're the movie theater people.
That's the craziest place you've ever done it?
Well, the craziest place we're going to talk about in front of other people.
Oh. Ours is the anus.
Oh my gosh, you cannot say that. Can you believe he just said that? Whatever, Clyde.
Hey, he was classy and said anus.
Okay.
What is your most awkward wedding moment?
Oh, okay.
Clyde.
Was it Mom's boyfriend with his wooden toggled shirt?
Yeah.
Well, the most awkward moment at our wedding, it's really hard to break it down to one moment. I had a big blunder. I had forgotten to plug in my cell phone the night before. And so when I was hanging out with Seamus, we were running some pre-wedding errands. My phone died. So I get to the chapel, and Rosie was going to my brother's house so that she could get her hair done. She was pregnant, as we've said before, and she did not eat all morning. And my brother was making himself a sandwich, and she said, hey, I'd like a sandwich too. And my brother Claude says, sorry, these are the last 2 slices of bread. Forgetting that she's pregnant, forgetting that food might be important, instead he gives her a saltine cracker. So Rosie, after getting her hair done, starts driving to the church, but she doesn't actually know how to get there, right? And then she's trying to call my phone, but my phone's dead. And then she's trying to call like Seamus's phone and anybody's phone. But the thing is they didn't have service in our city. Like the cell phone company that they all had from their small town, I believe it was Cellular One. Is that correct?
No, it was U.S. Cellular.
U.S. Cellular, whatever. So they had U.S. Cellular, and we didn't have service. So no one had access to getting a hold of Rosie. And she was lost. And pretty soon the bishop was coming up to me, and he's like, are you sure she's coming? right? And this is like 5 minutes before the wedding, and no one has seen her. No one knows where she's at. And finally, she gets a hold of my brother somehow, and he ends up directing her to the wedding. She shows up at the wedding, rushes into the changing room, and it's 5 minutes before the wedding starts, and we kind of make an announcement that it's like, oh, the wedding's going to be delayed. The bride just arrived. Well, she goes into the changing room, and that's when some real chaos started, right? As there's this panic of trying to get the bride into the dress.
So my mom doesn't handle stress well.
We love the woman. We love you, Mom.
Apparently I said something that like triggered a very strange reaction. But she threw my dress at me and said, "You do it then," and stormed out. And I didn't see her again until like the wedding was well started. Getting your wedding dress thrown at you, and those things are heavy. Mine was beaded, so it was extra heavy. It was kind of shocking. And I was already sort of in a panic because I'd been lost for about 45 minutes, and I was so nervous I wasn't even going to make it to the wedding. So I was also like high stress. I ended up starting crying like crazy. So now I'm trying to like get myself dry, but then also like not have ugly face, from crying. Then all the things happened that we talked about 2 episodes ago with the weird outfits and But it was a good time. It was a good wedding. I'm glad it happened. I wish I could redo it, though.
I'm glad it happened, just not that way.
Yeah.
That was kind of the story of our wedding.
We're going to renew our vows someday. So
and you all are invited.
Yeah, you're in the wedding party. Every
and
one
that's
of
the
you.
beautiful thing. I think it's really sad to think, like, I would have loved to know you guys so you could be part of our special day. So, Vernon, we have to get our vows renewed, too.
Why don't we all do it at the same time?
Yes.
Like the true polygamous family we are.
Yes. I mean, why buy all those decorations twice? You know what I mean? Like, we can start all the way over and then do yours.
Well, there's one more awkward thing that happened at the wedding, but it didn't happen when Mike was there. So I'm totally lost wandering around the ship because I just got dressed. I'm in a tux and I'm trying to figure out where to go. And they're like, oh, the chapel's off that way. And so I'm by myself wandering around the ship and there's nobody around at all. I ended up somehow finding the chapel and there's a girl in a wedding dress waiting outside there because we weren't the only wedding on the ship that day. And so I ran into the bride from the wedding that was just then taking place. So her groom's already at the altar. And then her guests, some of them have mistaken me for her groom. And so they're like, you're not supposed to see the bride. I'm like, she's not my bride. I'm somewhere else.
Time I've heard of this.
Did you not hear that?
No! You almost married someone else on our wedding day?
No, I was just standing by the other bride. But people thought I was her groomsman.
This happened in international waters, right?
That's hilarious.
Okay, last thing before we get off of here. One word of advice for listeners in relationships. I always like to give the audience something that they can take with them.
I've always been very patient, and so I would just preach patience. Like, that's been huge in every aspect of my life, and it's no different from my relationship with Stacy.
Honestly, I would just say communicate, but pick your battles too. Like, not everything needs to be a big ordeal. So figure out, kind of pinpoint what that big ticket item is and address it right away, because things that fester just end up blowing way out of proportion. Where when we just kind of address it right away and it ends up being something minor and we can move on really quickly versus the things that we've let fester. So definitely communication. Something
else that I kind of realized too was you really have to go into a relationship accepting who a person is. And I think that as we grow, people can change, but I think who you are to a core, you have to accept who that person is and not go into a relationship with the goal of, I'm going to try to change that person. You should love that person for who they are.
You should appreciate who and what you have, not what you don't have.
For me, my words of advice are have fun, make each other laugh, and genuinely care about your significant other. I mean, I think with those things, you're going to be able to go really far.
And my biggest piece of advice is that if you are the last person to use the toilet paper, switch the roll. It will do wonders for your marriage.
But that springy thing is hard to use, guys. Like, sometimes it pinches your finger. It's flown away from me before.
Yeah, it's confusing. You've got like the motor skills of a 5-year-old.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining our podcast. Don't forget you can listen to our podcast on any of your favorite podcasting platforms.
Make sure you check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Check out their website at ilovemyidiot.com.
And don't forget to tell your idiot that you love them.
I love you.
I love my idiot.
That's the craziest place you've ever done it?
Well, the craziest place we're going to talk about in front of other people.
Oh. Ours is the anus.
And now, I bring you an outtake from tonight's episode.
Have you ever been an amateur axeman? Have you ever wanted to log as a young man? I had those aspirations as a child. One time, I was probably around, 6, maybe 5. I was told not to touch the axe. Don't touch the axe. You have free reign of everything in the yard. Don't touch the axe. And that, I thought, only applied at my own property. Anybody else's property is free reign. We went over to Uncle Charlie's house, and, we were getting some grade A babysitting by 2 very inebriated and very high. So, top notch. And so I was out, as an aspiring axeman. I saw this axe and I was like, you know what? Today's the day. Today is where I start my training. So this happened to be a two-sided axe. It had a good wedge on both ends. I don't know if you've seen a
What is the
axe.
purpose of the two-sided axe?
It's not just to look cool. I know that there is a purpose. And I know it's not to split your own head open. Which is what happened to me. So, on this day, I was around 6, maybe 5. I took Uncle Charlie's axe. Mind you, it was a two-sided axe. And I wielded it as any... Well, I was very strong as a child, so... as any 12-year-old would at 6, maybe 5. I saw this, log in front of me, and I was like, you are toast. Slung it over my head. Well, that was the intention. It came down straight onto the top of my head, and it stuck for a few seconds, and then slowly fell over off of my head. And the whole time, I was like, that didn't happen. This didn't happen. I'm an axeman. And I am not a log. I didn't want to get in trouble for wielding an axe. So, everybody knew that I climbed trees. I was the climbingest boy. We didn't have much of a neighborhood because it was just,
Forest.
a good wooded hill. Some may call it a mountain. But I've seen mountains. I've climbed mountains. This I would call a hill. So I climbed this tree. I think it was a maple. And I was about, 10 feet up, and I looked down, and I was like, yeah, that's probably good. I jumped out head first. When I landed, I was like, yeah, that's about right. I got up, mustered up as many tears as I could, and I ran into the house saying, wow, it's really cloudy in here. Uncle Charlie, I fell out of the tree. He looked at my head. He was like, I don't see anything. Are you sure you're not okay? I'm like, well, shoot. I might be okay. And then my parents showed up. And they were like, what the heck happened to my son? And Uncle Charlie, bless his heart, was like, I don't know. I think he said he fell out of a tree, man. That was the day I knew. I am the X-Men.
Bravo! Bravo! Dude, what a brilliant story, Seamus.
Seamus, did you say, sorry, Vernon was interrupting me. Did you say you didn't know why an axe was double-sided or that you did know?
I don't know the actual reason it's double-sided, but I know why I would have a double-sided axe.
Vernon told me his theory. What's your theory?
Axes get dull.
That's it. That's his theory.
So I have a theory that one side is a wedge and the other side...
No, because they're both steeped at the same angle. My only thing is maybe, you're out there all day long in forestry, Mm-hmm. You can't just stop and sharpen your axe, It takes 5 minutes or so to sharpen an axe. Sometimes you don't have that time.
Yeah, that's exactly what he told me. He was like, it's when one side gets dull, you flip it over and continue working.
No, I think you guys are both wrong. The real reason you have a double-sided axe is so that when you're pretending to play Lord of the Rings, it fits, right? You can be that little dwarf dude.
Gimli?
Gimli. Thank you. I was drawing a blank.
We ended up taking Seamus to the hospital, and he got out of school for like 3 days for being concussed, so it wasn't that bad of a deal.
I didn't feel concussed.
I have a question. What is everyone's stupidest injury they've ever received?
Believe it or not, that's not my stupidest injury. So, we grew up next to a plethora of crackheads. I don't know what you call a grouping of crackheads.
A murder of crackheads.
A cackle, a murder.
No, I like that. A cackle of crackheads.
So, our neighbors that were closest to us were their house was probably, 500 yards away from ours. Their middle son was very close to my age.
Isn't it sad that he grew up to also be a crackhead?
I saw it coming. He would call me with these stupidest ideas. And I'd always be like, that's super dumb, but let's do it. So this one time he called me and he was trying to prank me. I've never liked pranks. We didn't grow up in a pranking family because we never saw the point.
Yeah.
There was so much real stuff going around.
Life was hard enough as it was when you live near a crackle of crackheads.
Yes. So, so he called and he was like, hey, do you hear that? And like 3 minutes later, I had heard some popping. So I just figured he was lighting, fireworks.
Sure.
As he would. As I would. From the firecrackers that I would have bought off of him. But I just figured he was firing fireworks. And so I was like, yeah, I heard it. You're lighting fireworks. And I want some. And he's like, no, that's not fireworks. And you could tell that he was trying to force his heavy breathing, like he had been in a panic
Oh my
or
gosh.
running. He's like, it's not fireworks. Somebody's outside my house shooting up my house. And I'm like, there's nobody at your house. Like, I can see your guys' cars. There's nobody new at your house. He's like, you gotta get up here. There's somebody shooting up my house. And I was thinking, I'm 11 years old. What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah, but remember, at 11, you had 18-year-old strength, so it makes sense why he was calling you.
That is true.
And when your father's a crackhead, you're not going to call 911.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm like, whatever. So I lace up my boots and I head up there because I want fireworks.
I also want to clarify, when Clyde says your father, he's talking about this child's father, not our father. He's a saint.
Yes.
Yes.
Our Father, who art not in heaven.
Not a crackhead.
Not a crackhead. So I went up there, and he comes out, and he's like, oh, I was just joking. Nobody's shooting up here. And I was like, yeah, I know. Where's the fireworks? He's like, oh, I wasn't lighting fireworks. I was like, well, what were you doing? He's like, follow me. So he walks out to this stump, and on top of the stump is bolted a vise. Because, you know, we were both very low-income families.
Yeah.
Nobody could afford a workbench. So what did you have? Stumps. So he had, a vise bolted to a stump. And he had a ball peen hammer sitting next to the vise. I thought nothing of it. Normal workwear. And so he takes out this box of 22 bullets.
Oh my gosh.
And he was like, this is what I was doing. So he was clamping these 22 bullets into the vise.
Oh my gosh.
And hitting them, hitting the primer end with the ball peen hammer. So, I guess I left out, these were blanks.
Okay.
Luckily, these were blanks. And so he was shooting blanks. Even as a young boy.
Let's hope he's still shooting blanks.
So he was like, he hit 3 or 4 of them in front of me. And I was like, this is so stupid. Where's your gun? But he's like, no, this is the coolest thing we can be doing right now. He's hit 3 or 4 right in front of me. Nothing's happened other than, the sound of a firecracker and some, sparks and smoke. That's all you get from a blank. And so he hands me one. I tighten in the vise. And I strike it just like he did. But what happens to mine, and I know what happened now, is I tightened it a little bit too tight. And it ended up weakening the casing. And it ruptured the casing when I struck it with the ball peen. And half of the casing shot out of the vise and struck me in the forehead. So I had this chunk of casing that wasn't sticking out of my forehead. What it did was it lodged itself. It hit my skull and turned left. So I had a small chunk of brass hanging out of my forehead. The rest, probably, 3/8 of an inch, was under my skin. And so I was like, what just happened? Because I didn't know it was hanging out of my head. And neither did he. And I was like, dude, what just happened? He's like, nothing, man. Isn't it so fun? I'm like, no, something just happened. I felt something, and so I touched my face, and there was no blood yet. And then I touched my face again, and I felt this chunk of metal.
Ooh.
And I was like, dude, I need some pliers right away. I got to get this casing out of my forehead. Because I knew what it was. As soon as I touched it out, I knew what it was. And so I grabbed pliers. I pull it out of my forehead. And then I jumped on a bike. Rode the bike as fast as I could. Slammed on the front brake. Slingshotted myself over the front handlebars. And I walked home. Like any respectful 11, maybe 12-year-old would do. And, I told Mom, hey.
Crashed my bike.
Fell off a bike.
Fell off the bike.
You've gotten hit with an axe. You survived a bullet. I'm so thankful you are still here with us.
Me too.
We all are.
That might have been the stupidest injury.
Yeah. That was really stupid.
Dude, my stupidest injury, I was putting a tarp on my dad's boat. Now, it doesn't seem like an injury could happen from putting a tarp on a boat, but I was just dumb enough to make it happen. So my dad hands me a bungee cord, and he says, you're going to stick this on one side of the tarp, and then you're also going to hook it to this hook that's underneath the boat. The smart thing to do would be to hook it to the underside of the boat and then stretch it toward you and then hook it to the tarp. Well, I hooked it to the tarp and then started stretching it away from me to try to hook to the underside of the boat. And I thought I had hooked it to the boat, so I let go. And this bungee cord snaps back, hits me in the face, and actually pierced my lip. I had like a hole in my lip. And I was like crying, and my dad was like, Clyde, you're a freaking idiot. Like he had no sympathy for me. And then he did the thing. This is like when my mom would dress injuries, she'd, get cotton swabs and like dab it, with the peroxide. My dad, he'd just grab the bottle and like pour it over you or whatever. It was awful. So I would say that was not necessarily the worst injury I've ever had, but that was my dumbest injury for sure.
Mine was trying to ride a motorcycle when I had no training or knew how to ride a motorcycle. And I also flew over the handlebars of that motorcycle when I crashed it. But I broke my leg and it was really bad. Like, I was out of commission for like 12 weeks. I could not put any weight on my leg. It was broken in 2 spots, and I tore my meniscus in my knee, and it was just awful. But stupidest thing I've ever done. Like, do not ride a motor vehicle if you do not have proper training.
Yeah, that was freaky, and I remember very well
Mike was a part of that story.
that Mike was the one that got the phone call, because she called my work. Do you remember this, Mike?
I remember this so much so because was it after hours at school?
Yes,
or
it was
during
right
school?
after school. So I was doing my after school duty. And as I was walking back to the building, Mike says, I don't want to alarm you, but Rosie has been in a motorcycle accident, right? Because Mike is the one that got the phone call at the front office or whatever. I don't know. And so my mind...
she called my cell phone because you didn't have your cell phone. And she called my cell phone and was like, Clyde is not answering his phone.
When you said she was in a motorcycle accident, she is the most risk-adverse person I have ever met in my life. She never does anything risky. And so when you said she was in a motorcycle accident, I could not even picture a scenario where she would be on a motorcycle. So I had this visual of some motorcyclist randomly like driving up on the sidewalk and running over Rosie. Like I was like, oh my gosh. Like I was picturing she was going to have tire marks on her. I was like,
All I say was she was in a motorcycle accident. I didn't say she's okay. It was just her leg.
Well, you did tell me that you did not want to alarm me. But I don't know. There's certain things that you can say, I don't want to alarm you, but, and then whatever comes out, like, I don't want to alarm you, but Seamus hit himself in the head with an axe, right? It's just, it was horrifying.
I think the dumbest thing that I ever did was I was about 9 and I like to take baths. I mean, to this day I still like taking baths, but I decided to take a bath and I thought, there's my mom's shaver and I should shave my legs because that's what women do. So I shaved my legs. I don't even know how I did it, and I survived and thought, well, that was interesting. So about 2 weeks later, I went to take a bath again and thought I did pretty well in that shaving thing. So should I repeat the same process? So I started shaving, and all of a sudden, I feel this sharp pain on my shin, and I look down, and there's just blood everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And I start screaming, but of course the door's locked. So my whole family comes and
gosh.
What is going on? And I'm like, I cut my leg shaving.
Oh my gosh.
And so then my brothers are just laughing. When they finally got the door open, I'm not quite sure how that all transpired. And we assessed the damage.
Fathers always have a way of getting the door open.
Exactly. I had taken a chunk of probably a good 2 to 3 inches of skin that my mother found in the shaver later on. So that was good times. Yep, it was awesome. So needless to say, I avoided that shaver until probably about 6th grade. And then my mom's like, you gotta. It's time.
Did you ever grow hair back on those 3 inches?
There was a nice scarf for a really long time, but now I can't even find it anymore. Yeah, so.
Well, so my stupidest injuries. So I guess 2-year-old Mike already was obsessed with chocolate. I love chocolate. And my siblings were playing a game of Operation. And back in the 80s, the nose on the Operation guy was made out of glass. And so I'm kind of over there, and I look down, my 2-year-old self sees this red circular thing, and my chocolate-loving self's like, oh, this is a M&M. So I take that glass nose off of that Operation, and I instantly eat it.
Oh my
and
gosh.
instantly regretted it. And it just shattered all in my mouth. And my mom said that she will never forget, like I'm walking downstairs and I just have my tongue hanging out and I'm just trying to say her name, and there's just blood just coming out of my mouth from eating what I thought was an M&M.
Oh my gosh.
And to this day, actually, you know what? Candy is not my friend because also I almost choked to death on Starburst because my sister just was in the back seat and just kept feeding me Starburst. And I just made like a nice little plug in my esophagus, and my mom had to pull the car over and rip all these Starbursts from my throat. So I almost died by Starburst. So that happened.